Widely known as Tech Island, Taiwan has built its reputation on its vast capabilities in hardware technology. But can it continue to maintain its lead as the global tech industry quickly shifts focus to software? What must Taiwan do to keep abreast with the global momentum? Again, we're joined by John Fan, co-founder and CEO of PicCollage in Taipei, and from Kuala Lumpur, Thorsten Schaeff of 11 Labs and founder of HackerHouse Taiwan. Thor, what's the developer community like in Singapore? Why not HackerHouse Singapore?
Yeah, Singapore is great. The developer community is, definitely very dynamic and diverse. And I think what's great in Singapore is there are a lot of government-driven initiatives as well in terms of, upskilling their software engineering force. So there are, GovTech is very central in sort of building the software for Singapore. And within that, for example, is OGP, is Open Government Products, is basically a startup within government, which I think is a very interesting concept where they are building kind of open source software for sort of the general public good. And as well now, sort of with the AI movement, the government has kind of set up initiatives like Lorong AI is sort of a local initiative also organized by the government to basically bring practitioners in AI together and, foster that community and learning and organize events. And I think with Taiwan, that was just a bit more accessible to, get folks in for like set up for a week. There's really good sort of budget hotels that we kind of partner with, where we can set up, a larger group of folks. So the last HackerHouse we had 35 people sort of in Taipei and Kaohsiung. And so I think that cost factor and sort of that organizational factor as well, ferrying people from Taipei to Kaohsiung on like a 90-minute high-speed rail ride was just incredibly easy.
Okay. And John, how can smaller software companies compete with Taiwan's big tech for talents needed to grow? For example, the likes of TSMC, Foxconn, MediaTek, and many others.
Yeah, I think, the type of people who want to join those companies and who want to join sort of software companies like ours, it's quite different. So in a sense, we don't see as much direct competition, but in a sense, yes, there is competition where some people are more attracted to that type of those type of companies, and I think that they are they are the major industry in Taiwan. But at the same time, there's definitely a set of people who from as students they're already building apps on their own. They're going to hackathons. They're very interested in the possibilities of, building things for people. I think one of the things that maybe not as clear, from abroad is, that Taiwan actually has a very strong creative and cultural side, right? So that's from, the small shops, from, the art schools, the various galleries, various sort of activities, fairs, things like that. Like more so than what I've heard, let's say Singapore or other places, where it's a bit more practical there. Taiwan has a little bit more room for dreamers, right? So I think there's that side of Taiwan, and for those people, the chance to work on fun, creative, innovative software products. It's attractive.
Yeah. So what you're saying is that the creativity, the inspiration, and also what Laura mentioned before, is keeping that curiosity is still very important to develop software. Thor, Singapore outsources software development to lower cost countries, as you were mentioning before on the cost consideration. So these lower cost countries such as India and Vietnam, do you think Taiwan should be considered in that mix?
No, I don't think so. I think Taiwan should focus on sort of being the tech innovator. And I think it's definitely moving into that direction. I think we're seeing great software already, being built in Taiwan. So I think Eric Schmidt's comment is somewhat dated already. And so I think there are great initiatives already present and working in Taiwan that sort of are moving, Taiwan into that tech innovator scene. So, yeah, I think, in terms of their, outsourcing potentially sort of the high trust, sort of high skill R&D area jobs. So I think that that could make sense, building kind of strategic partnerships there. But I don't think so. I don't think kind of the general outsourcing is sort of the right approach or market to go after. I think sort of the innovator partnerships, and I think that is happening already with Singapore, with Japan, Korea. These are already being set up. Startup Terrace in Taiwan is doing some great work there as well in terms of attracting overseas startups to come and set up shop in Taiwan. So I think the wheels are in motion and things are working in the right direction.
Yeah, on that point, AppWorks also, the recent batch had most of the companies that were brought in were actually from elsewhere, but they were coming to Taiwan for basically this accelerator program, and most of them are software companies. So that's sort of interesting that Taiwan is actually a place where people from other countries are coming to as a place to develop software and work on their startups.
Yeah, that's really great to hear. Next, we hear from Andy Dai, an Android engineer who organizes the Google developer groups in the southern city of Kaohsiung. He talks about the hardware sector's pull for Taiwan's software engineers and staying in step with AI's advances.
毕竟台湾还是主推半导体这种硬体厂为主嘛，所以软体工程师想要有比较好的薪水，那他还是要去硬体厂。比起相对台湾的，就是纯软体的来说，薪水会比较高，这样，所以要如何解决纯粹软体业薪水比半导体业还要低的问题，这个应该要思考一下。我们 Google Developer Groups 在办3到6月在举办 Build with AI 的 workshop， 然后这是每个地区的活动，然后也是线下的，然后它主要就是讲 AI 如何我们用 AI 培训的方式，然后让大家每个工程师的 AI 技术能够就是更进一步变得更好。然后这个活动很有趣，因为它有集合了 Google 专家或者是 Google 的员工，甚至是对AI 软体有兴趣有研究的讲者。
John, advanced chips have come to define Taiwan's tech industry. How can Taiwan boost its software strengths?
So I think overall, well, actually, what Andy just talked about, how AI is a new game changer in terms of increasing developers' productivity, getting non-developers to write code. I think that's one area where already it's not about these basic skills. It's actually going straight from understanding the user, understanding the problem, being able to clearly think through what you're trying to build. Like that's more important than the technical skills of building it. So that's one area where I think changing. So, but he also mentioned about how he's setting up meetups and workshops for this. So I think one of the key aspects of sort of disseminating this information, sharing, I think is the various workshops, study groups, and everything.
Okay.
Yeah, I think on that point, I agree with John. There's some great individuals, organizing developer communities and groups, and PicCollage as well has been, very welcoming to provide their offices and allow folks to get together and meet. I think what I'd love to see is something that's really working well in Singapore, sort of at the university level. Having hackathons there, having sort of these accelerators. So NUS has kind of these, the National University of Singapore has these NUS hackers, which organize sort of learning sessions, and I've gone in there as well and given workshops. So they invite people from the industry to work with the students. And your School of Medicine has this health accelerator, which is focused on kind of, software innovation in sort of the healthcare space. And so I think there are some great initiatives that sort of can start maybe earlier at sort of the university level. I think like university education in Taiwan is really, really good.
I agree with what Tor said. Like, there's always a natural gap between what professors are teaching and what they can test, because there's also sort of a validation function where they're trying to test the abilities of students, right? Versus what training them for what they will find useful. There's a gap. But especially now, I would say, for the vast majority of curriculums right now and courses right now, they were designed pre-ChatGPT, right? So with tools like GitHub Copilot and Windsurf, Cursor, really revolutionizing how developers code. And these are all things that to some extent happened in the last year or two, right? That what is valuable to teach students also is shifting, because the level of the type of things that they're teaching might be the things which AI can do easily now, right? But there's still an important role for developers to play in terms of really understanding the problem, thinking through it, coming up with the architecture, communicating well to other humans, in the work group, and then communicating well to the AI tool. So I think there is a very interesting set of skills that are needed for that.
Thank you both for that. We have John Fan at PicCollage in Taipei and Thorsten Schaeff of 11 Labs from Kuala Lumpur. Thank you both for your time with us today. How much do tech companies value software engineers, especially in the AI era? Share your thoughts with us in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more tech and business stories from Taiwan. You can also click the video next to me to watch our discussion on the gap between Taiwanese hardware and software.